we've got a guy from the Night Report. Yeah. Hold on, sorry. Richie O'Leary is just joining into the chat. So let's add him in. Let's do a little preview of Rutgers, and if we want, we can sprinkle back in on Purdue.
Yeah, we'll close out on Purdue.
Do we have one more super chat in there really quick? Let's add.
Yeah, I already read it.
Yeah, that was the.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
cool.
All right, here is Richie. Richie, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you guys. What's going on?
Hey, first of all,
doing?
hey, how's your Monday night been?
It's been going. It's Monday, so just trying to get through it, trying to not crack too many beers open,
Yeah.
Oh, see, that's the opposite of what we
Speaking
do.
of cracking beers, I mean, hey, Nebraska Brewing Company, fellas, do we hold it up real quick? Just real quick.
World glass and everything.
Yeah, baby. Okay.
There you go.
So let's just cut to the chase here, if you don't mind.
Yeah, go for it.
You have an absolute stud at running back.
Oh yeah.
Kyle over here, who kind of does our little board, he's on the ones and twos. He brought up a certain Kyle Monangai run, and he said, I've never seen anybody run harder and more violent than that. And I watched it, and I'm like, oh, shit.
Yeah, it was like Marshawn.
Yeah, it was like Marshawn. Yeah, that's what you said.
Isaiah Pacheco.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah.
Yeah. They just breed aggressive running backs, which is good for Greg Schiano.
Well, okay, so I think we kind of just like cut to the chase there with Kyle Monangai. If you could just kind of tell us more about him, and is the Rutgers offensive line, are they really good too? Is Monangai kind of doing this on his own? Like, what should we expect from like Kyle Monangai specifically?
Yeah, so Kyle Monangai is kind of similar to Pacheco in running style, like you kind of just mentioned, but he's just a bowling ball that just bounces off of tackle after tackle after tackle. He's just one cut gone. He doesn't have that top end speed, and that's kind of what's holding him back from these draft boards. And he's still going to get drafted, of course. He's really good in pass pro. He's a really good vision, really good running back in general. It's just that top end speed he lacks at the very end, which is fine. At the college level, it just works phenomenal. Like he just, I'm telling you, I've never seen a guy just, Greg always says it every time we talk to him. He just falls forward and falls forward and falls forward. He might get hit behind the line 2 or 3 times and still have positive yardage somehow. How? I don't know. I just think he's a damn good running back. It's all about vision at the end of the day. And like you said, that line up front has done him wonders. This year specifically, but last year too.
Do you guys have one?
Well, so it plays into the offense a little bit. Obviously, like Rutgers, a very high rated rush offense right now. I believe you're top 20, maybe even top 15. A very high rated rush defense as well. What we've seen, especially last week against Purdue, Nebraska, against arguably the worst rush defense in the country, is ranked as one of the higher powered pass offenses in the country. And Rutgers is lower in that aspect, I think around like 96th. Do you see that being a big concern? What's that secondary look like? How is Rutgers defense preparing for Nebraska?
Yeah, their defense, I think the secondary is fine. They did lose a second round pick in Max Melton this offseason, but they've been pretty solid when it comes to covering the pass. It's the tackling. The tackling has been abysmal from the secondary. And you can blame a couple different things. You could blame it some youth back there because they're throwing in a true freshman in Kaj Sanders, who's kind of rotating in as that third safety. Other guys, it did Shaquan Loyal, who's just been a surefire tackler the past couple of years, has just been awful at tackling. But in terms of coverage overall, they've been pretty good. Robert Longerbeam is one of the better corners in the Big Ten, in my opinion. And he had a phenomenal year last year, and he kind of picked up where he left off last year. And then the other side, Eric Rogers is a transfer from Northern Illinois. He's done pretty well. They have some young guys in Bo Mascow, who's another guy who has to fix his tackling a little bit better, or get better at tackling, I should say. Just they're struggling to wrap at that next level, and that's kind of what's causing I should say the rushing defense to struggle as much as it has this year.
So I want to just go back to the Rutgers offense. As far as I know, I haven't done a ton of research, but 65 to 35 run pass ratio.
Yep.
Which to me is music to my ears. That's what I would like as a Husker fan. Ethan Kalak-Manis. What I have in my mind is he played at Minnesota, and he comes in for an injured. I forget what the
Tanner Morgan.
Tanner Morgan.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ty Robinson takes Tanner Morgan's head off right before halftime, like literally the last play before halftime. And then Ethan Kalak-Manis takes over, and he plays pretty damn good. And
Yeah.
we're like, God, they have a backup that can play. So Ethan Kaliakmanis, what can we expect from him? He has a little bit of the run element. If you could just kind of get into Ethan Kaliakmanis this year.
Yeah, so he's not a superstar quarterback. He's not going to wow you with his arm talent. He just does the basic fundamental stuff of just hitting that first level and that second tier of that defense, and he can hit that ball pretty accurately. Now, he reunited this offseason with OC Kirk Chiraka, who recruited him to Minnesota, had him for a year, and then obviously left to, I think it was actually Penn State at the time, and then whole circle comes around. Kirk Chiraka ends up back at Rutgers like he was back in 2012, I think it was. So he reunited with his quarterback, and he's just been phenomenal. He's just done everything they've really asked for him. They're not asking him to go crazy and rush for 100 yards. They're basically just saying, hey, we need you to hand off, and we need you to hit the 10-yard out route whenever we call for it. We don't really need much more than that. You could try a deep ball or two, and he's had a couple nice ones. But for the most part, he's just been very accurate at that first and second level of that defense.
Would you say that Kaliakmanis is a game manager, or do you think he's a little bit more than that?
I'd say that's probably right, but he is more athletic than people give him credit for. He did track and field in high school. I think he ran a 4.5 at one of the Nike, I think it was a Spark combine back then. But I think he can kind of do a little bit of everything, but he's not great at anything. It's just basically average at everything. And that's all you really need when you had Gavin Wimsatt the past 2 years, who was the most inaccurate quarterback in college football 2 years running. So anything else would be better. And this is just significantly better.
So I look at, just real quick, just kind of like as an aside, like I see Kaliakmanis, I'm like, he's at Minnesota, and he has the luxury of handing off to Mo Ibrahim, and then he's going to Rutgers, and hi, Kyle Monangai, here, take it, do your thing. So I'm a little bit jealous of this Ethan guy, how he just kind of hands off to these stud running backs that you can always count on, unless they're injured.
Well, I mean, listen, that's Greg Schiano's philosophy. If that guy could win a game 3-0 and just run the ball all game, he would do it. Like, that is just the way he wants to win football games. He doesn't want it to be pretty. He said it time and time again. I'd rather win ugly than win pretty, because it just means more, and it means my team's together and blah, 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 all that other nonsense coach speak that they all put out there. But if he could just control the tempo of the game the entire time, he would love to do that. And that's basically their bread and butter. Just run the ball. Maybe we'll sprinkle in a pass here and there, but for the most part, it's going to be running the ball.
How many times have you heard the term rock fight covering this team? Is that a term that you hear often?
Too many, because like we joke around about it on our podcast, and we say it's like they're never going to blow a team out with this philosophy on offense. They're never going to take a 21-0 lead. They're damn close sometimes, don't get me wrong, but you'll never see them blow someone out. It's just going to be a boring 7-10, maybe 14-point win at the end of the day. But for the most part, it's just going to be a single score game, and that's like what I said. Greg Schiano would love that.
Single score game, Nebraska.
Yeah. Okay. So
in the same sentence,
talk to us a little bit about your guys' special teams, because right now Nebraska is freaking out.
Yeah, I saw that. A couple of block kicks there.
Yeah.
And if you know Greg Schiano well enough, his special team units are always damn good. Not the same punter that they've had in the past. Like Adam Korsak was, I like to call him a god among men when it comes to punting the ball. I've never seen someone been able to place the ball at the one so many times. It was incredible. But their new guy, Jacob Anderson's pretty good. But for the most part, it's all about the punt block. They sell out for the block. There's so many times this year that they had options to like return. They got a safety a couple weeks ago, and they had the option to return it, and they just didn't return it. And it's just always going to be a fair catch. I'm like, what are you doing fair catching a safety? Like, or after the safety, the kickoff. And I'm like, you can get another 15 yards.
Yeah.
But for the most part, they're just going to sell out for the block on everything. They'll send everyone possible just to try to get that block. They will not return a single kick, it seems like, or punt.
So outside of the rushing game, of course, we've established that Rutgers is a very solid rushing team.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you see Rutgers' biggest strength, not even offensively, just around the entire roster, whether it's a unit or a player, outside of the rushing game, where do you think Rutgers' biggest threat lies to Nebraska?
Oh, to Nebraska. I feel like, and this is weird to say, considering Rutgers is only, I guess it's been 10 years now since they've joined the conference, but I think up front and the offensive line, they've been phenomenal over the past 2 seasons since new O-line coach Pat Flaherty took over. 2-time Super Bowl champ with the Giants, 30 years in NFL. I questioned the hire at first because he's a lot older than most of these guys. Like in terms of coaching, we joke around about it because they have to go out to USC in a couple weeks and play an 11:30 p.m. game Eastern time, and we're like, hey, he might fall asleep, man. Like, he's in his 70s, like it's gonna be like 2 a.m. But I am shocked at how much he's been able to turn this offensive line unit around. And by no means are these guys star-studded recruits. And I know O-line recruiting is very tough to judge in high school, but he's turned Holland Pierce Holland Pierce was pretty solid before him, but he's turned him into a all Big Ten level left tackle. They've turned Brian Felter, who was started some games as a freshman and was kind of gone, and I thought he'd enter the portal just because he wasn't playing at all, into an all big guard. Their center, Gus Zawinskis, was a 2-star from Colorado that he found and turned him into a pretty solid center. He's just made, I don't know if, can I curse on here?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay. He basically turned chicken shit into chicken salad. I don't know how the hell he did it, but he found a way to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Matt Rule today talked about Coach Flaherty and how he was with him at the Giants, and he's very familiar with him. That was like his mentor when Rule was in the NFL the first time. So he's got a lot of respect there for that. Rutgers, there was a lot of offseason hype about them, given the schedule has been favorable for them, and they have a favorable schedule moving forward. Where's the ceiling for this Rutgers team? They're not ranked yet. Obviously, if they come into Lincoln and win, they're going to be ranked.
Hey, receiving votes already.
They're receiving votes, but what is your outlook of this Rutgers team moving forward, and what should we expect on Saturday?
I think when I said before the season, I said 8 or 9 wins. I actually had this one pegged as a loss. I'm kind of going back a little bit, back and forth. It's going to be close, I think. I think the ceiling, if we're talking everything falls their way, like it did on Friday night against Washington, because I don't know how they got outgained by like 260 yards or something like that and still won. But
and don't break.
If they can, if everything falls their way, I think 10 wins is in the realm of possibility. I don't think it's unheard of. I think 9 is probably the more realistic number. It's just, this is one of the easiest schedules in the Big Ten going forward. Oh, yeah. And that's no knock, obviously, on Nebraska or whoever else is on USC, like Illinois. They're all good teams. But the rest of it, it's like Minnesota, UCLA at home, Wisconsin at home, Maryland, Michigan State. I think it's a very favorable schedule in Rutgers' favor. And I just want to say, they are so thankful that they're out of the Big Ten East, because that was hell every year, basically, for them. So, I think I would say the ceiling's probably 10 wins.
So it's funny you say you're thankful to be out of the Big Ten East. We are very sad we're out of the Big Ten West.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Not that it really mattered anyway. I'm just curious. We talk about Greg Schiano on this podcast a lot, just me personally, and I think these guys kind of share that affinity about him, just how he's that hard-nosed guy that you might not want to run into in a dark alley kind of thing, Yeah.
But
are they going to be, especially if they win 10 games this year, that Schiano statue is going up? Yes, or what do you think?
100%. Yeah. Without a doubt in my mind, he's probably going to get one. Now, when? That's a good question. Probably down the line. I mean, hell, he's the only guy that's ever gotten him to top 10 in the country at one point back in 2006. Yeah. And that wasn't even with the recruits he's getting now. And it's a little bit better, obviously, recruiting ranking wise, but they're just taking off. And now with NIL in play, they're getting better at that. They're raising a lot more funds. I think in this NIL world, I think a lot of people speculated it might hurt Rutgers. I kind of am in the opposite boat now. I think that's going to help Rutgers more and more. If you can find these donors down the street in New York City from Wall Street and just get them to throw a couple mil here and there. And we've heard stories about it already with the basketball team. There's no secret. They just got number 2 and number 3 in the country. How does that happen with some money on the side? So,
well, Wolf of Wall Street, baby.
Yeah, if you can tap into that market, man, that's unlimited money right there. That's printing money.
If only Tony Gandolfini was still around.
Oh,
yeah,
hey,
rest in peace, King.
Hey, some penny stocks and we're good, baby.
That's all we need.
Kyle, is there any questions, comments in the chat before we send him on his way?
Nope. We have somebody it's BA. He's got a lot of respect for Schiano, as do we.
Yeah.
And then we have a prediction. It says we are going to win this weekend from Mark Johnson.
So,
Mark.
I do have a hot take for you guys.
Okay, here you go.
Only because I saw the T-shirt. Jersey has better corn.
Oh, get
what?
out of here.
No, get.
Oh my
I
god.
don't have corn.
All right, kick me out if you want.
You know, like you might be right. I don't know.
Yeah, it
I
has
don't
better
know.
corn,
Jersey
corn than
sweet
Iowa.
corn.
Yes, yes.
Garden
You're
State.
right. Better
Garden
corn than
State.
Nebraska. Get out of here. Get out of here.
I'm just saying. If you haven't had it, yeah.
We can't have the Cornhuskers be the nickname if our corn sucks. Like it.
I'm not saying it sucks. It's just not as good.
This is what we do, man.
It's kind of like the football team, you know?
Yeah. Hey, you know what? Damn you for saying that.
Yeah.
This Richie O'Leary first before you get into like plugging yourself. I want to say Nebraska's 5-0 against Rutgers, and I always say I would wish you guys luck, but I wouldn't mean it. Make it 6-0, baby.
Richie, do you have a prediction? Do you want to give us a prediction on this show?
It's gonna be ugly. I'm telling you, this is Greg Schiano football. It's
I
just
love it.
Ugly football. I'm gonna say like 24-21. I think it's gonna be close. I think it's gonna come down to probably not game-winning drive, but I think Rutgers run game's unstoppable. And I don't think I love Dylan Raiola. I've raved about him a million times. I think he's a certified Patrick Mahomes Jr. stud, whatever you want to call him. Sure. The glazing of Patrick Mahomes, though, it's a little.
Yeah.
But I'm going to say 24-21 Rutgers. I think Rutgers pulls this one off.
You know what sucks? Like, as soon as he said the score 24-21, I'm like, well, if you're scoring 24, that usually means you're probably making a field goal in there.
So I knew it wasn't Nebraska.
Yeah, it was not.
Damn it!
There you go.
That's fair, though.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, Richie, if you could just like tell our listeners where to find you, and if they want to follow Rutgers football, tell them where they should find you.
Yeah, we're on Twitter at Rivals Richie or at Rutgers Rivals, Rutgers.rivals.com. Night Report podcast, do everything Rutgers. Doesn't even matter. Day in and day night. It's see what I did there? Day in, day
Yeah.
night.
Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice.
But yeah, at Rivals Richie on Twitter. X, whatever it is.
Yeah, it's X. Yeah, it's definitely X. No.
Nah,
It's
it's
Twitter.
still Twitter.
It's Twitter. Come on, get real.
Yeah, it's true.
Richie, hey, have a good Monday night, and thank you for joining our circus here. We appreciate you.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you, Richie, and I hope you're wrong.
Yeah. Thanks, man. Appreciate you.